We have your weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here, what do we do on the weekends? I say this every single week. We go through the Apple news. So what I do is I go through around 20 different Apple related news stories. I also go through some specials as far as Apple products on sale. So sit back and relax. Sometimes I have a beer, sometimes I don't. It's the weekend, right? Let's get into the Apple news. All right, so for story number one, we're going to talk about the iPhone 16. If you have not been under a rock, you know that there's an event about a week ago. Now, Apple talked about better battery on all the iPhones during the 16 event, but they didn't really give us percentages or any type of real data, right? So now I went out and I gathered a whole bunch of data from a whole bunch of sites, and I put this little graph together here. Now, these are going to be based off specific tests and everything like that. So this is going to give us a good idea of some of the increases. But again, this is just one data point here. So understand that, depending on what you're doing, whether it's, watching all videos or doing all posts on email, this could be subject to change, but it is going to tell us something. So take a look over here. Now, these phones were all tested the same way. It says, how long do these phones last, right? So during these tests, all the phones were new. They all had the same battery condition, and they basically did the exact same thing. So the iPhone 15 right here, 7 hours and 42 minutes for it. Look at this. The iPhone 16, it jumped up to 8 hours and 22 minutes for the exact same tasks. That's actually pretty good. That's about 40 minutes, right? And you can't ask for more than that in one generation. So that's actually a good increase. And they didn't give us the percentages, but in this one specific test, it looks pretty good. Then the iPhone 16 Pro, the smaller Pro model, 8 hours and 25 minutes. So it's barely more than the iPhone 16, which is kind of crazy there, but I guess it's because it's using more power. It's got maybe a brighter screen or something. Anyways, you get the idea there. So the iPhone 16 Plus, kind of the base Plus model, 8 hours and 52 minutes. That's a bigger phone, bigger battery. That makes a little bit of sense. You can see it's about a half hour more than the 16 there. And then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, that was last year's flagship, 9 hours and 31 minutes. Take a look. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, 11 hours and 11 minutes. So that's what, an hour and I guess 40 minutes. That's a huge increase if this holds true. I'm seeing this data point on other tests that are out there as well. It is getting substantially better. Who knows? But the thing you can take away from this is while Apple's getting better, it still doesn't hold a flame over to like some of the Android phones and stuff like that. Because look at Galaxy S24 Ultra, 12 hours and 36 minutes. So almost look at that. If you were getting an iPhone 16 versus this, I mean, that's a huge difference there. Obviously, the price is different. That's a pretty flagship phone. It's a bigger battery. But take it for all it's worth. I just figure this is kind of a cool graph to show you based on some specific tests. And let's keep moving. All right, we got a couple of Apple sales to show you now, and then we're going to get into some more stories. I've showed this one before, but it's still a really good sale, so take note that it's still available right here. This is on Amazon right now. It's a 2023 M3 Pro chip. This is going to be the 16-inch, 18 gigs, 512. So really kind of the base model, but right now it's $500 off, 20% off. So it's $19.99, usually $24.99. This is, it's holding strong here with this sale. They usually go up and down. So I think this is obviously the M4s are coming out, so they want to get rid of this. But $500 off on a system like this is pretty good, right? And then another one, this is the lowest cost I saw in this. Now, this is not as good of a sale, but they usually don't discount these kind of, systems that have more, more disk space and stuff. Here's one from B&H right now. This is the 16-inch, again, M3 here, $23.99, usually $26.99. Why is this a good deal? Well, this actually comes with 18 gigs of RAM here, but it also, let me actually go down here, 18 gigs of RAM, but 1 terabyte SSD. So you get the upgraded SSD as well, plus the 18 gigs of RAM, 16-inch also, $23.99 at B&H. So that's, I think they're claiming that that's the lowest that configuration's ever been. So I wanted to throw it in there for all it's worth. So, well, it's is it a great deal? Maybe not with the M4s coming out. But if you want to save $300 and that makes sense to you with the added storage, could be a good deal there. All right, let's keep going. One more sale here, then we'll get back into the stories. This is supposedly the lowest price also on this specific product. Here's the Apple iPad Air. This is the 11-inch M2 version right here, $256 on the storage here. So we look in here, it's now $669. You're going to say, maybe that's not the lowest we've seen it, but there's a coupon. See it right in here? Apply a $40 coupon right now. It's going to bring it down to $629. So $629 for this, the iPad Air 11-inch with the M2 chip, so the most recent version. I thought that was a pretty good deal with that 40% coupon or $40 coupon. I wish it was 40% anyways, right? But $40 is all you get there. So I thought that was kind of cool. But let's just keep moving here. Here we go. So Apple Insider, just so everyone knows, if you go to the Apple Store now, it says iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro models are now available in store. So as the first pre-orders arrive, the iPhone 16 can now be bought in Apple stores. So now that they're shipping the iPhone 16s, if you go out to your local Apple Store, you can actually purchase one. You don't have to pre-order it. You can purchase an iPhone 16 right now, and you're all set. You can walk in, walk out today, and buy one. All right, the next story is an interesting story because we heard that Apple's starting to develop chips in the United States, and there's an Arizona plant that they were building, right? But it says it was taking a long time. This article is really cool. Mac Rumors, Apple's A16 chips now being manufactured in Arizona's TSMC plant. Can you imagine that for a second? They're actually making the chips here now, at least one older chip, right? The A16. So it says right here, Apple's A16 chips now being manufactured on American soil. And that's actually really cool. Let me just see here. It says the move aligns with previous reports suggesting that TSMC's Arizona plant would begin producing advanced chips as early as 2024. So that's perfect. So they actually hit that date. Now it says it's unclear what specific devices will use this Arizona-made A16 chip, but they could be potentially turning up in the iPad model. Watch my last video. I went through all the things that are going to be shipping this year. I said the standard iPad, like the one sitting right here, but the 11th gen, is going to probably have an A16, and that could be where it is. They also said in this article, it says the next generation iPhone SE, given that rumors suggest that the iPhone SE will be based on the iPhone 14, which could also have the A16 chip in it, which would kind of be a disappointment. So if you do get the iPhone SE, that means it wouldn't have Apple Intelligence, nor would this down here, because you need the A17 Pro chip or higher. So for all it's worth, maybe they would squeak in, maybe they'll let you still do the AI, but maybe it would just bog it down or something. I don't know how they would do it. I don't know if they could cut you off completely if you just don't have the right chip in there. I don't know how it's going to all work, but overall, those two systems then wouldn't be supposedly capable of Apple Intelligence. But anyways, that A16 looks like it's being made for the new iPad. And that's going to be a powerful system. I showed you benchmarks in my last video on how this thing's going to increase like 40-something% on multi-core just with that little increase in chips. So anyways, for all it's worth, it's being made in Arizona. Okay, the next article here is from Mac Rumors. It says, here are the macOS Sequoia features Intel Macs don't support. So when Apple released macOS Monterey in 2021, some key features required a Mac with Apple Silicon. So long story short is a lot of the features with the new OSs require Apple Silicon, right? So there's Intel Macs that are getting older. What features are not going to, well, I guess every time they do this, some features do not work for the actual Intel Macs. They keep losing features. And with Sequoia here, what are we losing? So it says right here, it says Apple Intelligence. So it's not going to have Apple Intelligence. So if you're on basically an Intel Mac, you're just going to be not going to be able to do Apple Intelligence. That's the one thing. That's probably the main thing, right? But then we keep going down. What else is it going to lose? It says live audio transcription. It's a feature. Live audio transcription lets you record audio sessions within Notes and Apple Notes. You get the idea. It's gonna lose this. But then it says what else? It says surprisingly nothing. So those are the only two things it's gonna lose: is the Apple Intelligence and this live audio transcription. So if you're thinking about you're on an Intel Mac and you want to upgrade to Sequoia, it's actually capable of doing it. Go ahead and do it, right? Because the fact is, you're only going to lose a couple little things, and you can't get Apple Intelligence anyway, so it's not really a big deal. And you're going to get a lot of security things, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But it comes with a whole bunch of security features that are kind of, they need to kind of plug up, so you probably want to do it anyway. Okay, so if you're a sports fan, this is actually good news for you. Here's Apple Insider right here. It says Sports app now uses live activities to report the latest scores. You can see the little picture here with scores on it. So if you scroll down here, it says the live update to version 2.0 on Monday makes a few changes to the app, with the biggest being support for live activities. So it says when enabled, the users can see live scores of your favorite teams and play updates on the lock screen of their iPhones and on their watch. So while it's on the lock screen, you can get live score updates in real time and stuff like that right on your iPhone. You don't even have to open up your phone. You just have to kind of look at that, when you just kind of tilt it over. So now, if you're in church or something and you want nobody to know and you kind of peek in your pocket of, the score of the Bears game or something, you can do it and you don't even have to turn the phone on. So how about that? I think it's a kind of a cool feature for sports fans. It's now available. All right, so I hope everyone's having a great weekend. Cheers. All right, so this is actually not the best deal in the world. I'm going to show this to you. It's been a lot cheaper before. I think it's been $12.99 a few times, but take a look here. Apple Studio Displays, actually, it is on sale, usually $15.99. Right now on Amazon, it's $14.39. So what does that come out to? $160 savings. It's still savings, right? So it's not too bad. The reason I wanted to show this is because obviously the Mac Mini is coming out soon, and this is going to be something you might want to pick up. Imagine this screen here for $1439, and then you get the Mac Mini, the new redesigned Mac Mini for $599. That's going to put that just over $2,000. And on that Mac Mini, you're going to get 16 gigs of RAM, most likely on the base model. The M4 chip, which I showed you, is just as fast or faster than the M2 Max chip from just a couple years ago. So it's going to be a killer system if you think about it, right? For doing videos and stuff with this. Now, it's still more expensive than the base iMacs. The 27s, I think, used to be like $1,800 to start when they actually were available. They don't make them anymore. But now this is actually a good idea. So $1439, while it's not the best price, with the Mac Minis coming out, you may want to think about this. Okay, so if you're thinking about the iPhone 16 right now, because it just came out, right? Or the 17 coming out in a little bit because you heard so much about that. What should you do? This might help you a little bit, so I just wanted to report it. It says all iPhone 17 models could get big display upgrades, and here's what to expect. This is from 9to5 Mac here. So if I scroll down here, let's just scroll down. This guy Young, it says, according to Young, the entry model iPhone 17, so not the Pros, but the entry level, plus the 17 Air, which he calls slim, are set to receive some of the best Pro features. And so what it says here is the always-on display is going to be basically included with this, and then ProMotion 120 refresh rate, 120 hertz refresh rate in the ProMotion. So that's pretty incredible, right? So that'll be on the base model, they're thinking, iPhone 17, which the new ones don't have on the 16. So what do you guys think? I mean, is that something that you would want to wait for? I know a lot of people, live by that. They love it so much. For me, it doesn't really matter that much. I've done 60 hertz. I've done 120 hertz. I understand the argument, trust me. But overall, it doesn't really affect me that much, so it doesn't bother me. I mean, I wouldn't make my whole decision on it. But for people that might want to wait one more year, maybe they have a 15 or a 14 iPhone, and then they want to skip the 16, maybe skip it and get these extra features on the very base model, and you'll be golden. Okay, just a little bit of information here. This is Mac Rumors. It says Apple announces iPhone driver's licenses will come to these additional U.S. states. So we're kind of going to scroll down here. It says, in select U.S. states, residents can add their driver's license or state ID to the Wallet app on the iPhone or the Apple Watch, all right? So it says the list of states where this feature is currently available is Arizona, Maryland, Colorado, Georgia, Ohio, Hawaii, and most recently, California. And then it says Apple today announced that Montana, New Mexico, and West Virginia are now committed to supporting this feature. So those are a couple are committed, and they're going to be moving that way. The other ones are. Now, I always say, I still have to carry your ID, right? It's kind of, I understand this kind of, and eventually it's going to be good, because look at this. If I scroll down here, it says participating airports. You can see it right here. It's going to give these airports. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 airports that participate in this. So let's just say you have this on your phone and you fly out of one of these airports, but you fly into a different airport not on the list. Then coming back, you're stuck there, right? Unless you have your physical ID. So I understand why it's going to work in some states and not others, but realistically, you're going to probably have to carry your ID everywhere with you for a long time until all the states kind of come in line here, and it's a 50 state available in all 50 states. I guess for me, again, is it a huge feature? Maybe because I'm just a little bit older, I don't care about carrying a wallet or an ID. I don't think about it twice. I'd actually rather have it physically on me than on my phone. But for other people, who knows, right? I guess it's what they want. It's going to go that way eventually, and we'll have it probably in a few years. All right, so this next one I want to talk about, just because I just want to back up. I keep telling people, I had a couple of videos where I showed renderings of the new Mac Minis and stuff. And I just want to support where I'm getting my data from. So here's Apple Insider. It says macOS Sequoia backs 5 USB-C port Mac Mini rumors. So we heard that they're going to have 5 USB-C. They're going to get rid of the USB-As. So is that actually true? Well, let's take a look down here. It says examination of the code changes in Apple's software included a curious line defining a specific model of Mac. The text string reads Apple Silicon Mac Mini 5 port, all right? But what does that mean, 5 port? Is that 5 USB-Cs? So if you scroll on here, it says alongside these ports, the report also included an HDMI, an Ethernet port, and a headphone jack and power connection. So that's exactly what we're reporting. So no USB-As, up to 5 USB-Cs. We don't know if that's going to be on the Mac Mini Pro or the Mac Mini base. Maybe it'll just be a combination of less, maybe Thunderbolt ports and some just USB-C ports, but maybe just 5 USB-C total. So you get the idea. I just wanted to kind of give you where the data is coming from, and this just came out, and look down here, the rumor score is really high, very, very, very likely. So we think for 100%, well, nothing's 100%, right? With Apple, you never know. Maybe 90%. we think it's going to have 5 USB-C Thunderbolt ports. All right, this next one I thought was important, actually, just to talk about, just in case you guys notice this and anything coming in the future. Anyways, let's take a look. You'll see what I mean in a second. Mac rumors. It says, Apple reportedly suspends MacBook Air supplier due to quality issues. Apple has suspended a MacBook bearing supplier, Kirshen's production for inspecting processes due to quality issues. All right. And it goes down to say down here, industry insiders indicate that the defects were present from the beginning, but Apple only detected them during destructive testing later in the process. So it says basically a batch inspection revealed a high failure rate, a high defect rate. Fortunately, none of the faulty products have ever reached the market. However, bearing defects typically take 1 to 2 years to, before you can even find them. It's unclear exactly which component the report is referring to, which component of the Mac. And they show MacBook Air, it's got to be MacBook Air, but they'd also show it's like the older version of it. So long story short, bearings, what could that actually be? The hinges? I'm not sure what that would actually be. Bearings, high failure rate in bearings. So just wanted to put this article out there. If you notice anything or you start reading things about things that are failing on any of these devices, that any Apple notebooks that have to do with bearings, maybe they're lying to us that none got out into the wild, right? Who knows, right? We don't know. But at least keep it in the back of your mind and let's take a quick peek for it to see if you find something. Okay, this next one's from Apple Insider. It says right here, Apple jacking up prices on post-AppleCare iPhone battery replacements. So if you need to get your battery replaced after AppleCare goes out, they're jacking up the prices. So down here it says the new cost of an out-of-warranty battery replacement for the 2 larger models, I'm guessing the larger iPhone 16s, the latest models, is $119 now. And it used to be $99 for the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. And it says the cost remains $99 for regular iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus. It says basically the iPhone 14 models, they went up from $69 to $99. Now we're up to $119. So I read this and it keeps going up every year. And even though they keep saying that they made the battery replacement even easier this year, I don't know if you read about that, but they said they have a process that makes replacing the battery easier. So why are they doing this? This is exactly what I thought. I kind of scrolled down, but this is exactly what I was thinking, this first guy right here. Here's what I think. I think Apple is making it expensive to change as the calculus between keeping the phone and buying a new iPhone. So what he's thinking basically is what I'm thinking. They're trying to make it so expensive that if your battery does go, you might as well just upgrade the phone or get rid of it and get a new one, right? Instead of buy the battery. And they're going to keep inching that up there, even though probably the cost of replacing it is going down. So who knows? That's a little cynical, right? But I think that this guy's onto something, and I think he's probably right in most cases. Okay, so for this next one, I want to show you, we have a couple Apple sales here, but they're refurbished sales. I want to show you what I mean here. So this first one over here, hear me out for a second. This is the M1, this is the Mac Mini base model, right? It's renewed from Amazon, but with the Mac Mini, I mean, even if it has a couple scuffs on it, it'll work fine. This is like one of the few devices I would just buy renewed and not really worry too much about it. Here it is, $399.95 right here. They usually, I mean, I read the ratings, they're all really good, 4.7. So for under $400, this would be a good device for like a media device. It's running Apple Silicon and could even do Apple Intelligence. Or for like a smaller kid, you don't want to spend a lot of money. That's actually not a bad deal. I mean, it's going to work fine for just doing basic schoolwork, watching movies, watching YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was kind of a cool deal. You can get that on Amazon. And then the next one is another kind of cool deal. Now this is Renewed Premium right here. So Renewed store, it's going to be basically, let me see, Renewed Premium. And I did a whole series on this where I talk about this. And it's basically going to usually come directly from the Apple Refurbished store when you buy it this way. Not always, but it's going to be like phenomenal quality when you get this Renewed Premium versus just Renewed. So here it is. This is just the M1, again, iMac, right? The one I have sitting basically right here. 8 gigs, 256. Only $899. So, I mean, again, this is a phenomenal machine for if you don't need a lot of power, you want to just do your bills or you want to do, whatever, just look on the internet or watch a couple movies and stuff, have it in the house. It's attractive. Comes with one of the best screens on the market for $899. You can't go wrong. Plus Renewed Premium. Look at the ratings. It's 4.8 out of 5. Almost everybody loves it. And if you kind of read through here without getting too much into it, it all just basically says it's, look brand new when they get shipped in. It looks like it came in perfect condition, like nobody's ever used it. So for all it's worth, I thought these were two kind of good deals if you want to spend really, really low amounts of money, but get something kind of, worth it. Okay, so this is kind of good news for Apple, right? So Apple actually lost this crown last year, but they regained it back right here, 9 to 5 Mac. Apple regains crown as sole winner of American Satisfaction Index. HP passes Samsung. So here it is. You can see, obviously, Tim Cook praying right there. But anyways, here's the chart that I wanted to show you here. And it says right here, let me just see here. You can see Apple, they basically were tied. They didn't win it. They were winning last year, but they were tied. 83 and 83 right here from Samsung. But this is 2024 over here. Apple has an 85. Oops, sorry about that. Apple has 85, and Samsung's down to 82. They lost one. HP is 84. So you can see the limit. So basically in order, Apple, HP, Samsung, Amazon, Dell, Lenovo, Microsoft, Acer, and all others, and then Asus is down here. But the weird thing of this whole thing is it's a weird kind of a metric, right? Because the highest is 85 and the lowest is only 78. That doesn't seem like it's a huge mark there. Like with cars and stuff, they can go from like 80 to 30 with these kind of ratings. This is like such a small like scale here. So maybe they're all good. I don't know. But overall, I think it's kind of cool news. Apple actually regained the #1 spot. Okay, so we talked about Sequoia a little while ago and why you should upgrade even if you kind of don't want to. Well, here's one reason right here. It says right here, 9 to 5 Mac. It says today's release of macOS Sequoia brings 70 plus new security fixes. So as if you haven't known, you can actually load Sequoia on as of today or yesterday or really close to today, depending on when you're watching this. Long story short, though, it says that basically that Mac Sequoia has officially launched with new features and improvements such as window tilting, all these new features, right? But it basically says Apple shared details of each of its security updates, and it says that it has over 50 of them really, really important updates, and it's the most that they've ever seen, like at any revision like this. And this article goes on to show you all of them in here. You can take a look. I mean, it goes through all of them in here. But in a nutshell, what the article is saying is it's got so many of them compared to before, all these different security updates. I think in here they go through, let me just see if I can find it in here. It says these fixes help prevent exploits like arbitrary code execution, privilege escalation, memory leaks. Apple also implemented patches to protect against various attacks by improving memory handling, input validation, sandbox restrictions. So this is a whole bunch of things. Now it's actually not 50, it's 70 new security. So you can get the idea, 70 of them, not 50. I got it wrong. But long story short, upgrade if you can because the security features are totally worth it. Okay, so we talk about this a lot. Here it is from Apple Insider. A new auction has a classic Apple II cassette tape signed by Steve Jobs. So here's a chance to get in cheap, right? Not cheap. They're all ridiculously expensive. I tease about how people buy this crazy stuff. These are actually cheap enough where maybe people can get in and maybe make a profit. We'll see here. So down here it says another signed Apple Computer Company check along with the cassette tape is on auction right now. It says the event is being hosted by RR Auctions, Remarkable Rarities, so you can look them up if you want to. So let's just scroll down here. The first is a handwritten company check dated July 16th, 1976, signed by Jobs. You can see it right here for $10.52 to Almar Electronics. And it says down here, this is what I want to talk about, different company check, also signed by Jobs, to Radio Shack, actually sold at auction in 2023 for $46,000. So that other one went for $46,000. It says this one right now estimates the check will fetch at least $25,000, although as of September 14th, it was only $12,650 after only 14 bids. So $12,000, you can get in for $12,000, the cost of a used car maybe for that little check. Maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not, right? Who knows, right? And then down here, this cassette tape's even worse. It says, presently, the autograph cassette has a top bid of $2,000. Actually, it's way better, $2,383 after 8 bids only. The auction house expects it to fetch at least $10,000. So maybe there's one you can get. You can pick up that cassette tape. I guess it was some way that it says, while primitive by today's standards, the cassette interface system designed by Steve Wozniak had a big advantage for Apple early computing. It was 4 times faster at storing and retrieving data. So that's what I guess this tape's all about. And Steve Jobs signed it there, and you can probably get it for, by now, maybe $3,000 or $4,000, but still $10,000, and maybe you can make an investment on this, and then it'll go up in price, you know, if Wozniak or someone like that dies, although it's signed by Steve Jobs, so who knows. You get the idea. I'm not telling you to do it. Take your own risk. Okay, some more information if you have these kind of devices. Mac Rumors. It says Apple pulls iPadOS 18 for the M4 iPad Pro after bricking complaints. Imagine that. So it says Apple stopped signing the iPadOS 18 update for the M4 iPad Pro, which means that the new software is no longer available to be downloaded and installed at the current time. The update appears to have been pulled following complaints from some iPad Pro owners who found that the updates brick their devices. Can you imagine that? So here are people putting on iPadOS 18. It bricks their brand new M4 iPad. And, I wouldn't be a happy camper. But for all it's worth, just keep an eye on that. We don't know how that's going to end. We got a couple more sales here. Here we go. So obviously the new AirPods came out, and what that means for the old ones is they go on sale. So if you want to pick up a really cheap pair, maybe to jog in or go work out in, here we go. $89 right now, 31% off. The AirPods, basically second generation wireless earbuds, and you can see them right here. $89, 31% off. So usually $129, $89 right now. Not a bad deal at all. So I would recommend those. If you want to go up a little bit, these are the Apple AirPods Pro 2 wireless earbuds. Again, they didn't even update the Pro 2, so I believe you can even get the updates on this as far as the new software that comes with it and all that stuff as far as hearing aids and stuff. So this is not a bad deal. This is 24% off. Usually $249. It's $189 right now. So that's almost the same price as the 2 version with the adaptive, the audio. There's 2 versions of the lower version, and that other price is almost the same as this. So this is a steal at $189. I think you should pick this up. It's got the H2 chip and everything like that in here. It says right here. So that's actually a really good deal. And then let's just kind of end this whole thing with one last article here, and then I'll wrap everything up. So if you watched I don't know if you watched this movie a long time ago, 28 Days Later. Now, if you're not a horror movie person or you don't like those kind of crazy movies, 28 Days Later was made a long time ago, and it was made with basically a camcorder the guy made it with. And he had a lot of time up, it was made, I think, in 480p. Anyways, the guy's known for this. They're making a sequel to that. It's a zombie movie, more or less, really, for zombies, but it's really, intense. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it, but it's going to freak you out. So they're making another one now. It's called 28 Years Later, and it's going to be it was shot on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So they go in here, and I read the article. It says basically multiple people familiar with the production confirmed to Wire that the iPhone 15 Pro Max was used by director Boyle and in the filming of 28 Years Later. So if you like these kind of if you like these kind of scary zombie type stuff, and it really is intense. I mean, you got to watch 28 Days Later. It's crazy, but if you like this kind of stuff, watch this because this is interesting. This is all filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and now you can see what is going to be for a full hour and a half or whatever. You can see all of the little things that they do to make it look so good, and you can kind of learn from it. I mean, see how good it really is. So even if you don't watch the movie, maybe watch the trailer and see how good that is, right? So I kind of recommend doing that. I love kind of finding out how good these things are. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the weekend news here. I do this every single weekend, but in between I usually do 2 videos. I do training videos. I do tons of reviews of technology, mostly Mac related, obviously, monitors and keyboards and you name it. I also do just reports on all the new products coming out and stuff like that. And the weekend we have some fun though. On the week I get more serious. So anyways, subscribe if you can. Help me out. I want to grow the channel, and we do this, like I said, the weekend news is just something we can do on the weekends and have some fun with. Eventually, this might be a live show, or I'll do some of them live and stuff like that so we can have some questions and stuff. But overall, we'll talk to you the next one. Peace.